What is up, everybody? Back with another top 10 here today. And finally returning to the channel, got Mr. Nick Franco from Sea of Tranquility and Cryptic Rock. Nick, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey, good to be back. Good to be back on the channel, bro.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. We got a pretty cool topic. Like we've done several of these in the past, the top 10 albums of 2006 today. So, like we were talking about before, pretty good year. I mean, if you're a fan of like traditional metal stuff from the 80s, maybe this time wasn't like your favorite. If you're into extreme metal, I'd say there's a lot of good stuff. So I guess we'll just kick it off with your number 10 and go back and forth.
All right. So yeah, it was a very transitory time where things were there was a lot of experimenting going on in the extreme genres, and I think a lot of the artists that were going off into creative forays that maybe didn't work all the time were coming back home. Like coming back to what people loved and what they loved. So um, in that sense, my first one, my number 10 is Amorphis, Eclipse. This is the first album that Amorphis did with the new singer that they currently still have, Tommy Utzen. It was a return to form for them, and it's got the House of Sleep, which is one of the more the sing along part of every one of their live sets. But its deeper tracks, like with Amorphis always, its deeper tracks are very good. And Brother Moon, really, there's no bad moments on it, and it's an excellent album. And really, it pulled Amorphis back from sort of they were kind of petering out. The previous singer, Pasi Koskin, things weren't going so well, so they needed this rejuvenation, and they got it in the form of a great singer, and they made a great album, first of many with him. So Eclipse by Amorphis is my number 10.
Cool. Nice. So my number 10, I'm gonna go with a band that, some people love them, some people hate them, but I gotta do it. Got DragonForce, Inhuman Rampage. Just for me, especially this album, it's got Through the Fire and Flames on it, which for like people around my age, getting Guitar Hero 3, like mid 2000s there, that was just mind blowing to hear. That's still like one of my favorite songs ever, honestly. Just the guitar shred on that from Sam and Herman. Love those guys, one of my favorite guitar duos, and really love the vocals from ZP Thart, who I've mentioned is actually the lead singer for Skid Row now, which is
Oh,
pretty interesting, but I think he's got a really good voice. Other than Through the Fire and Flames, which is easily the best song on here, Operation Ground and Pound, and probably Revolution Death Squad are my favorites, but super solid album. Some of my favorite power speed metal mix, but really good album. DragonForce, my number 10.
all right. And my number 9 is I don't know, maybe you might have heard of them, Iron Maiden,
Yeah.
Matter of Life and Death. Uh, it appears that it's low on the list, but this is a list of the very best of a year, and there's no way that any of these albums are anything but magnificent. A lot of people, some people are bored by this album. They don't like it, this and that, long songs, blah blah blah. I say rubbish. It's an incredibly beautiful album, and of all of Iron Maiden's comeback albums with Bruce rejoining the band, it's the only one that they've ever decided to play the entirety of on a tour, which was a ballsy move for a band that has hits that people expect to hear. I think it was a good move because I think the album is absolutely good from front to back, and everybody knows the songs by now. If you don't, get to know them because it's one of the strongest Maiden albums of the comeback, as I've talked about before.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I kid you not, that is my number 9 as well.
Awesome.
Got it written down. So,
Cool.
uh, yeah, great album as you said, and I go between this one and Dance of Death as being my favorite like reunion era albums. And I would say personally, this is the last album by Iron Maiden as of now that I'd say is really good, that I really really like. I mean, their other stuff since then has been pretty good, but this one I really love. And like Lord of Light, I've ranked the top 20 Maiden song of all time. Just super dark, pretty like creepy song. Just love the vocal melodies from Bruce, and the guitar playing's awesome on here as usual from those guys. Adrian, Dave, and Yannick. Even though people hate on him, I actually do think he's pretty good. But yeah, good album, as you said. Number 9, A Matter of Life and Death.
Oh yeah, when they write war epics, man, almost nobody better. So my number 8, man, these could really flip flop these next two, but I'm gonna go with there's an Italian industrial black metal band called Aborym. Did you ever hear them?
I do not believe I have.
Yeah, so Aborym began back in the 90s, and they always had a penchant for like that sort of industrial tinged, futuristic, a lot of samples in their black metal, and they don't always succeed. I think lately I haven't really dug their last couple albums, but 2006's Generator is really incredible. I think it's the best they've ever done. Um, and oof, it's hard to explain. It's basically, well, no, I did explain it. It's like basically you got a bunch of samples, and then they don't just kill you with the wall of noise like programmed drum sounding. Like it's real drummer, but it's actually, see, this is where I should have, it's Bard Faust Euthen, who we all know from our Norwegian black metal lore, is a legend. Yeah, so he drummed on this album, which is one of
it's Faust from Emperor.
That's correct.
Okay.
And, yeah, Faust, and he is one of the reasons why it's so good. But they like it's synth heavy, but the guitars still sound good. But you got these like well placed samples. They break up the blasting with like industrial parts, and with something like that, it's like anything else, man. It's how you balance the elements of the songs, and they just do a great job. This thing kills from start to finish. I'd say a highlight would be Ruin Rama Colossal SPQR. It just really just starts out with this like unbelievable chorus, and then it gets really heavy. So yeah, I recommend it very highly. So Aborym Generator is my number 8.
Nice. Yeah, sounds pretty interesting for sure. I'll have to check that out. But my number 8, I'm going to go with Between Two Worlds by the band which is the guys from Immortal. It's basically Immortal doing like a more traditional heavy metal type of album with some blackened tints, especially with the Both's vocals. It's got Armageddon on the drums, who was the guy on their first album. Demonaz is there writing the lyrics. I think it's King of Hell on bass, and Icedale from Enslaved on guitar. So great, amazing guitar playing. Always loved the Both's voice, super cool and unique. Couple standouts. The Storm I Ride is just an epic song, amazing stuff. Warriors and probably Mountains, but really cool album that is kind of underrated. Honestly, like the name I think it's kind of a dumb name for a band. Like if they had thought of a better name, maybe people would know him more. But good album, Between Two Worlds, my number 8.
Yeah, I had mixed feelings about it, but the songs that were good on it were really good because those guys can, they know their way around
amazing musicians. Yeah.
Oh yeah, some of the best, some of my favorite musicians. Nice. All right, I'm going down to the vinyl here for my number 7. You're gonna know it. Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult.
Nice.
Horror Nocturna. Yeah, this is the reissued by Osmos Productions, reissued the vinyls. So I have that one. It's not the original cover, I don't think, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you and I have spoken about Onilar, the female singer of the Spitting Blood and White Dress, many times, and it is unrelenting, fiery, fast black metal, and very few bands do it as well. The whole thing absolutely sizzles. The intermediate tracks of like satanic black masses and her talking is really, really disturbing.
Yeah.
And it's just what a relationship. Like the blast beating, they have that something, and boy, oh boy, it could probably rank higher, but that's where it is. Horror Nocturna, number 7 for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she is definitely amazing. I ranked her in my top 10 front women video. So love her, love the band. Might be hearing about them in a minute from me, but my number 7 is actually when we first started talking a while back, I recommended a song from this album to you. I'm like, hey man, have you heard this? It's the album Aurora Borealis by Dark Forest, which is a Canadian black metal band, and amazing atmosphere, cool like keyboard work. It's really epic sounding, almost kind of Viking at times. But yeah, it's just one guy doing all the music and all the vocals, which his name is David Parks. So great musician. They're not very well known. Definitely this album, at least. There's two albums. I think this one should be more well known because some great black metal. Thurisaz is definitely the best song on the album. So if you're going to check out one, anybody watching, definitely check that one out. Just great stuff. Aurora Borealis, number 7.
That's awesome. I got to check that out. There's a power metal band by the same name, and
There's a couple, yeah, there's
but I've
several
seen
bands there.
it come up. Yeah, Dark Forest, but it's cool. I got to check that out. It definitely fits more as a black metal
Oh yeah, for sure.
name. Cool, good one. Number 6.
Yeah.
I'm going with a U.S. band called Hammers of Misfortune, and the album is called The Locust Years. So people who are maybe familiar with the Lord Weird Sleutheg, I don't know if you does that ring a bell?
Does not.
I'm not surprised. This is maybe one of the most criminally underrated bands on the face of the earth. They're from like San Francisco, I think. You got Jamie Meyer singing in this. She was in Sabbath Assembly. I hope I got that right. She's got a great voice. There's Mike Scalzi from Sleuthag also sings on it. So these are some musicians. Yeah, here we go. These are some musicians. I can't say that word. It's good. Who are kind of within this like insular scene that like never really. I think they all have like real compelling day jobs, like professor, this and that, the other thing. These people are very, very classically trained. And I don't know, their music just didn't jump out of the underground at all, which is surprising. You go listen to a song like Famine's Lamp. It's like a classical, like Jethro Tull mixed with like a female vocal. I don't know, it's hard to describe. Then they have more straight ahead bangers like Trot Out the Dead. It's basically power metal, traditional metal, just beautiful leads. You'd really like it. I might have talked about them before. I'm not sure. But this album's called The Locust Years. It was on Metal Blade Records, Hammers of Misfortune. Check them out, traditional metal fans, because you will agree they're a hidden gem.
Nice. Cool. I'll definitely do that. But
Yeah.
number 6 for me is one it's going to be tough for me to pronounce here, but it's like Anya Yosa, the 2006 Horna album. I mean,
Yes.
dude, just Shatrig, his guitar playing is so unique and amazing. His tone, his melodies are just like put you in a trance, mind blowing stuff. And this album, the melodies are great. It's kind of on the raw side, which I mean, most of their stuff is, but amazing. There's a guy named Carvis on the vocals who did vocals on a couple of their albums there in the mid 2000s, who I think he's got a cool voice that fits the music. There's only 4 songs. One of them's like 20 minutes long, which is the last track. I'm not even going to try to pronounce them, but the first song and the last song, definitely the standouts for me. Just really, really cool stuff. Great band. Number 6, Anya Yosa.
Yeah, definitely honorable mention for me. I think the best was yet to come from them. But that is a fine choice that I definitely was on. I mean, it's there. I was like, that's just finished darkness. That's just amazing. Amazing. So my number 5, I sadly do not have a prop, but it is The God That Never Was by Dismember. Boy, oh boy, like what a loss that they don't make music anymore, because all these like at the gates, Dark Tranquility, like they're all, their quality. I'm not gonna shit on them. They are what they are. But and Dismember was harder than them, but Dismember also has heaps and heaps and heaps of melody, because David Blomqvist, their guitar player, just bleeds Iron Maiden, and that element has always been in their music. So they managed to make this. Here they come. They make this album, just planting the flag, like melodic leads, guitar leads, and just brutality. But it's so melodic, but it's so hard and heavy at the same time. It's like being beaten to death with a velvet hammer. And I mean, honestly, it could have been out It's just that I love some of the other ones more, just
Yeah.
as the overall. But you fucking Dismember, holy shit, God, they were just amazing. So I got to put that in a great album cover too.
Oh yeah, and I swear to God, that's my number five too. I'm not just trying. I swear I have it written here beforehand, but everything you said is exactly right. I was gonna say if Iron Maiden was gonna make a death metal album, this is what I think it would sound like. Just the melody from David Blomqvist, his guitar playing is so good. Maybe like Bruce, I don't think if he was gonna do a death metal album, I think he might be a bit higher, like maybe like along the lines of like Chuck Schuldiner type vocals as
Mhm.
opposed to Matty Carkey's kind of more guttural.
Oof.
But yeah, great album. A couple of key tracks I wrote down: Shadows of the Mutilated, Never Forget, Never Forgive, Trails of the Dead, just top to bottom, amazing stuff. One of the best death metal bands for sure. Most melodic, maybe, but yeah, awesome stuff. The God That Never Was, my number five.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So now in the top five, number four, I'm going over to Norway to one of my favorite bands, Kampfar, and their release from this year is called Kvass. And look at that album cover. I mean, it doesn't get any colder and more Norwegian than that. So, for those who know, you already know. But for those who do not, Kampfar is from the black metal scene of Norway. They were one of the bands that distinguished themselves by not really, it's not about Satan and blasphemy and 666. It's more about just a faceless, cold rendering of their country's nature and a little bit of history and definitely a dark band. What could you say? Folk melodies. It's very rough sounding vocals, but folk black metal done perfectly. It's the blueprint of folk black metal. And the anthem that they have here in English, because most of the lyrics are sung in Norwegian, but they have Ravenheart, which is like their anthem, Ravenheart. So I highly recommend it. Some long, involved songs. They're fabulous musicians. It's raw without sounding like it was recorded in somebody's room. It's basement or whatever. It's quality recording. And it's one of my favorite albums or one of my favorite bands. So Kampfar Kvass.
Nice.
Thank you.
Cool. So my number four, I'm gonna go with Seance by Dark Fortress, who, dude, just one of my favorite black metal bands. I'd say they're my favorite melodic black metal band. They're from Germany. This is their last album with Azathoth on vocals, who was their singer for the first four albums, who I slightly prefer over their current guy who goes by the name Morian. But both of them are good. They've gotten like more and more progressive as time's gone on. So the musicianship is just amazing here. The production is awesome. Ghastly Indoctrination to open it up is one of my favorite songs by them. Just all around the musicianship, these guitar players, this drummer, some of the best in black metal, and just fantastic album. Seance, my number four.
Awesome. I gotta dig deep. I mean, I have a couple of their albums and I like them and respect them, but your love of them gets, like makes me think I'm probably I gotta dig back in.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Awesome. So for my number three, going with another lesser known band that is underrated and should be more well known, and that is Ancient Rites from Belgium and their album Rubicon. These guys do not make a lot of albums. And I happen to have like a casual internet relationship. Like I chat with the singer Gunther once in a while. He's a super magnanimous, just really, really wonderful guy. He embodies everything about what underground metal should be. Just he bleeds it from every pore, and the passion that he brings to the table with Ancient Rites is always palpable. And for the album Rubicon, he's a world history nut. So ancient history is his thing. So every song here, Thermopylae, Invictus, Templar, everything here, it's either like a Roman or Greek or some sort of, and then he has a song Ypres, which I think references World War One. So he definitely, the lyrics are like reading a history book, but it's really exciting and interesting and engaging. So the music is hard to pin down. There's some stylistic elements of black metal, but it's not. It's mostly just fast, adventurous metal. He's always had really active keyboards in there with the guitars, but everything sounds like it's like a movie soundtrack, like we're riding at the battle. But it's not cheesy. It's just really done. Oh, it's so awesome. The title track, Rubicon, is one of the best. Oh, when that gets going. Invictus is another one that just fist in the air anthem. Uh, I don't know if you've heard them, but you, our listeners here, if you haven't heard Rubicon, you like everything from like power metal to, you know, I don't know, everything, man, folk metal, whatever. It's just all these labels. Um, Ancient Rites is fucking outstanding. So they're very comfortably number three for me. They could be higher. So check it out.
Nice. Cool. So, as you mentioned earlier, my number three is going to be Horror Nocturna by Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult. Just amazing stuff. Like you said, Onilar, complete badass, awesome voice, sounds just super evil, like a freaking banshee or something. Just her like howls and screams are crazy. The lead guitar player is really awesome too. Velnius, he just is great on guitar, and the opening song on here is maybe like one of my favorites of theirs of all time, Das All Ein, or however they pronounce that. But just great song, amazing, brutal black metal with some really nice melody mixed in there as well. You covered it perfectly. So great album, Horror Nocturna, my number three.
Excellent. And we should take a moment to wish Onilar, whose name is Ivan. She just had a pretty intense battle with cancer, and she announced on her socials or whatever the band announced that she's doing well and has kicked it in the teeth. And that is her spirit without a doubt. So yeah, continued good health for our dark queen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So my number two, we're staying in or going back to Norway. I always wind up in Norway one way or the other. And we're going with Vride. And we're going with their second album, Pitch Black Brigade. This is the band that, of course, used to be Windeer until their singer tragically died. And so Black and Roll is kind of like the name that they give to their music. Again, you're probably, if you're not familiar with them, you're probably talking like probably a skeleton of black metal, but the muscle and blood and bone is definitely traditional speed metal and rock. I mean, this is music that I think could find a home in a lot of people's taste spectrum. So whether it's the Red Smell, Left to Hate, Hengebjörki, which is 9 minutes long, Hang 'em All. This is anthemic, powerful metal. And man, oh man, I can't say enough how much I love Ride. So they're my number two, Pitch Black Brigade, perfection.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So my number two, I'm going to go with the album Spirit of Sorrow by the band Fear of Eternity, which I'd say is probably my favorite atmospheric black metal band. It's a one-man group from Italy. The guy's name is Andrea Telleni. Just amazing keyboard work on here. It's very keyboard heavy. Like the keyboards dominate the song, just soaring, majestic melodies, and really well done and put together. The vocals are pretty harsh, can take some getting used to, but I think it sounds pretty cool. And some of the standout tracks, I'd probably go Staring at the Dark, the title track, and A Torrent in My Veins. This was on my top 50 black metal albums of all time, like in the 20s somewhere, I think. So I really dig this. Amazing, majestic, beautiful stuff at times. Spirit of Sorrow, number two.
Yeah, I heard them. I remember you mentioning them on your list, and you had mentioned them to me in the past. I really got to check that out. And that was a great list, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I was making dinner while I watched it. I was just like cooking the hell out of that steak. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So my number one. So what could I possibly love more than Ancient Rites, Vride, Kampfar, Dismember? It is a band called Agalloch, and their album Ashes Against the Grain. To me, it was the best album of 2006. Certainly my favorite. This is among the most beautiful music ever composed. I will without a doubt say that. People say the word black metal with them. They're not a black metal band. Nobody should call them a black metal band. There's some vocal elements that are reminiscent of it, and once in a while the drumming, but they're like it's just dark metal. It's just but the guitar playing is second to none. And it's Falling Snow and Fire Above, Ice Below, and the song Not Unlike the Waves. The majesty of these songs, like, and these guys have hit some highs before. They're and after that, they're definitely an excellent band. Their output is high quality. They're from Oregon, I think, and they're gone. They're split up. They had the singer turned out to be, I don't know, alienated everybody, and I don't know. It's a lot of drama. You can read about it online, but Ashes Against the Grain is one of the most beautiful albums I've ever heard in my life, and it sounds just as vital and fantastic. It's like a fucking musical painting. I don't even know how to describe it. The superlatives run out. I know that when I drove through Utah with a friend of mine in 2009, we were driving through like these unbelievable mountains and valleys and pristine shit. We had this album on repeat, and it definitely fit. It fit. So, Agalloch album of the year of 2006 for me.
Nice. Yeah, I think I've listened to them a little bit. It's been a long time because I know, pretty sure our buddy Quest for Metal really likes them, and he's talked to me about them. But cool, nice pick. Yeah, mine is a bit more of a basic pick, a much bigger band. Got Kiss of Death by Motorhead.
Oh.
I mean, I did a Motorhead discography ranking, and this was almost my number one. So I love this album. I had it at number two. Like, it's Inferno and Kiss of Death. That's like my favorite era of Motorhead. It's always been my favorite trio they had was Phil Campbell, Mickey D, and Lemmy. I love Phil and Mickey, and of course Lemmy is a god. But this is super heavy, dirty, raw, just awesome stuff. Typical Motorhead, but on the heavier side for sure. Sucker, Devil I Know, Trigger, Going Down. Some of my favorite songs by them ever. And I love Motorhead, so had to be my number one. Kiss of Death.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I hate that I didn't have them on my 10, because all the things you said, and what is it? God Was Never on your side. Man, that's what a like a slower, like what a cool ballad by them. And the Sword of Glory is one of my favorite Motorhead songs. It makes the hair stand up my arms. It's one of those times where Lemmy really hit that. He always had some good stuff to say about war and conflict, and my goodness. So I don't know how I kept it. It's definitely an honorable for me. So great pick. It's not basic at all. You're awesome.
Thanks. So you got some more honorable mentions you want to list off real quick?
Sure. Well, we hit Horna and Motorhead. The much maligned Noct Mystium. You ever hear them?
Sounds kind of familiar, but I do not think I have.
They had their finger on the pulse of where black metal could go in the mid-2000s. So their album was Instinct Decay. Beautiful psychedelic beats, really brutal drumming, and then hellish vocals. Excellent. Murkgrov, Norwegian folk metal band. The album is Trollskau. Skrumt Egg Kulebenning. That's my brutally brutalized Norwegian, but very, very unheard of band. Like, I don't know, just check it out. I've run out of words. Kors, the Ukrainian band, their album Cold really just rocks. Mm-hmm. Really rocks. Oh man, just you're banging your head the whole time.
So I had Kors on my top 10 black metal last year for 2020. Man.
Such a good album. Yeah, Kors doesn't make a bad album, and Cold is amazing. Cold could have been on this list easily. The self-titled Sodom album.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good. That good shit, man. And Oathbound by Summoning, the Austrian duo with the Lord of the Rings epic dungeon metal. That's probably there's others. Oh yeah, shit. Killing Joke, Hosannas from the Basements of Hell, one of the heavier Killing Joke albums. That shit almost made my list too. That's some good trance-inducing, fucking good, half industrial, half metal, good shit. So that's probably it.
Sweet. So a couple for me, definitely Loudspeaker by Marty Friedman. My favorite metal guitar player of all time. There's some really, really good stuff on here. I mean, he's got such great, just instantly recognizable tone. What is it? Elixir is one of his coolest solo songs, which I saw him play in like 2014 or 15 when I saw him live, which is still one of my favorite concerts. And this was super close to making it for me. There's some really cool guest appearances. Like I think John Petrucci's on here. Um, Billy Sheehan is on here. Jens Johansson, who played keyboards for Yngwie Malmsteen in the 80s. Just really cool album. Got Belphegor, Pest Apocalypse 6, which this band still probably remains the heaviest band I've ever seen live. Awesome band and great album. I got to mention, this isn't an album, just a little honorable mention to Skullfist, who released their debut demo in 2006. Just 2 songs, but cool stuff called No False Metal, the birth of one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
And also Thornography by Cradle of Filth. Love Cradle. That's an album where pretty much most of the black metal elements are just gone with them, but still very heavy. Dirge Inferno is one of my favorite songs by them. And Christ Illusion by Slayer was pretty good. I mean, good album, I guess.
It definitely had the spirit.
Yeah, I always really liked Eyes of the Insane. Was honestly probably like a top 25 Slayer song for me. And Ancient Symbolism, which is another album by Fear of Eternity that came out that year, also very good. And I also want to mention last one, Ain't Crying for the Moon by Kingdom Come, who are one of my favorite hard rock bands, which I just ranked their discography. I didn't really want to include them on here just because they're more on the hard rock side, but that album does have some very heavy moments. And yeah, that does it for me. And as usual, Nick, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's always a great time.
Of course, and everybody watching, give us your top 10 albums of 2006 in the comments. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.